Hi everyone. I'm back for part two. Okay, so what are we going to discuss today? Oh, I cannot. I need to switch on my webcam. Okay, what are we going to discuss in part two is everything and anything related to your group discussion. So, okay, again, let me state the disclaimer. All right, this is a disclaimer. It's not a guaranteed you will be excelling your group discussion after watching my video, because again, discussing in a group, because okay, it requires your speaking skills, right? And I hope by now you do understand anything that related to skills. It cannot be just a one time practice. It has to have a regular practice in order for you to be able to be excellent in that particular field or context or whatever. Okay, so I noticed that the video part one on plagiarism, summarizing, paraphrasing, and synthesizing was about 1 hour ish. So I try as much as possible to make this video short, but it's still it's still fulfilling. All right, okay, let's go. um why do you need to know about group discussion? Okay, because group discussion happens to be one of your assessments. Okay, so this is what going to happen, right? Week 5, you are going to watch the video, you are going to absorb as much as information as you can, knowledge as you can. And then in week 6, we are going to meet in class, and we are going to sort things out in terms of your topics. Right? Remember, I asked you to propose your topics in the forum. I have not checked. I will be checking in week 5, when I am in week 5. So that will be, yeah, week 5. So when we meet in week 6, right, you are expected to be in your groups, and then we have to discuss, right? We are discussing the problems that you have identified, or the problem that you are interested, whether or not it can be further developed. Okay, so week 6 is only the unrecorded consultation and discussion session. Okay, but comes week 7 and week 8. Okay, am I correct to say, okay, week 7, that is the first episode of group discussion, and week 8 you are going to go for your mid semester break, and then week 9 we are going to have another round of group discussion, because I believe I'm going to have two parts of group discussion, part 1 and part 2. Even though, if let's say we still do not have time, so probably the group discussion for part 2 will be outside of class time. Okay, but that is my plan. I want to have two parts of group discussion. um I believe having two parts of group discussion will help some of you who are not really good in the speaking department. Okay, right. Now, okay, so before you can go for your group discussion, you have to know, the theory part of group discussion. So in this video, it's all about the theory part of group discussion. What are the things that you need to consider, what are the things that you need to know. So basically this video is the how part, and the what part. All right, so let's continue. Okay, so what are the contents? The communication models, all right, forms and purposes of human communication, verbal and non-verbal techniques in group interactions. So you get the learning objective on your own. Okay, so now let's start with the basic fundamental question. What is communication? What do you know about communication? What would you like to know about communication? What have you learned about communication? Right, some of you might be very good with your communication, some of you might be struggling in your communication. So basically today, again, I would like to disclaim, I am not going to guarantee that you will be a superb or excellent communicator after listening or watching this video. However, right, something that I can at least promise you by 10%, you know better what communication is all about. Okay, so that is what I promise you and also not promise you. Okay, let's move on. Okay. So this is a model of transactional communication. So this is what happens when you are communicating. So right. So when you're communicating, there will be two parties or two sides, right? So both of the side will be the communicator, and both of the side will send and receive messages. And both of these sides, right, person A and person B, you are doing the encodes and decoding at the same times. And while you are communicating, you have to acknowledge, you have to also, you have to acknowledge, you have to be aware that there are noises, right? There are noises when you are communicating. Okay? All right. Now, definition. Communication is simply the act of transferring information from one place to another place, right? Regardless, it is in a form of verbal or in a form of text. But the point is, it's transferring information from one place to another place. Okay, so in a different definition, communication is a process in which people send and receive messages that are distorted by noise, occur within a context, have some effect, and provide some opportunity for feedback. Okay, now how do we make things easy for this communication? So when you say that you are communicating, these are the things that should happen. Number one, the message should be sent. Number two, the message should be received. Number three, the message should be understood. Okay. Number four, the message has to be responded. Okay. And number five, there would be noises that accompanying the communication. Okay. So that is the summary, remember? Okay. So now communication model, right? So the elements the elements present in all communication sets. So when you are communicating, these are the elements should be present during your communication. Number one, source and receiver, right? You have the source and you have the receiver. You have the messages. You have the channels. You also need to have the noise and barriers, and of course the effects. Okay, the effects here is another word for feedback. Okay, now, so this is, the elements of human communication. So this is in a context of communications. You should have the source, and the source is also a receiver, right? And then you should have the message, because now the mission of a communication is basically to transfer a message from one point to another point, which is from one source to another source or to another receiver. Okay? So what does it mean by effect? The reaction after you receive a message. For example, how do you react when your crush texted you and asked you out? How would you react? Probably you will be like jolly well or jolly happy. Right? So that is one of the effect. You could also feel very nervous. Ew, what am I going to wear? Alamak, I've never been to any dates, but this is my golden opportunity. What am I going to wear? What am I going to talk about? Right? So that is what it means by effect. Right. So noise in between is probably, okay, should I go? Should I not go? So that is a noise. That is a distraction. Okay, frankly, if your crush were to text you and ask you out, would you say no? Would you say no? I do not know. By logic, you shouldn't say no. Even though you are going to screw up your date. But saying no means you are giving up already without even starting the journey. Okay. All right, let's move on. Okay, so what is this source receiver? Okay, so each person involved in communication is both a source and a receiver. Means how could it be? If we are the source, how can we be the receiver? Of course it is. In communication, if you are the source, if you are the one who convey the message, you also are the one going to receive a message. Okay, and then as a source and receiver, you send messages. So where, okay, how do you send your messages? It could be in a form of speaking, writing, gesture, smile. Okay, what does it mean by, you send a message with gesture? When you shake your head, that is sending a message that saying that no, I don't want, no, don't want. You don't have to say it, right? Do you have to say it? No. You just need to shake your head and people know that you don't want it. Or like, okay, different example. Do you see? What I did was just rolling my eyes. You do understand when people roll eye, it means that you are annoyed. Oh, yeah. Okay, so that is what it means by sending messages, not necessarily using, using speaking or writing. Hey, it's raining. Oh my God, it's raining heavily. I like it. Oh my God, thank you, God. Thank you so much. I've been waiting for your rain for a long time. And all of a sudden, that light of Wahyu, right? So yes, I need to switch on my light, or else you cannot see my face. Okay, wait, distraction. I have to change my fans. Okay, so this is the light. So I think it's better now. Kan ada cahaya-cahaya keimanan macam tu kat muka I. Of course, no, come on. Please lah. Okay, wait. Okay, so cahaya-cahaya keimanan Okay, gitu. Alright, okay, now. Oh my God, it's very heavy. The rain, I like it. No, it's not. Okay, as a human being, I'm a person who loves the rain. So I get so easily distracted if it's rain. Kan? Alah, macam lah you guys juga. When you are sitting on your own, out of sudden your crush pass by, and then of course you get distracted kan, macam, alamak. Out of sudden nervous kan, macam tu lah. Anyway. Kan? Let's proceed. I'm sorry. Let's proceed. Okay. So now, okay, so now we are at the point of receive messages. Okay. So when you receive messages, how do you receive the messages? It's either by listening, it's either by reading, or smelling. Okay, what does it mean by when you receive messages by smelling? Okay, so this is like a very funny story. I do not know. It's not really funny lah. To me, it's very sakit hati like that, but I cannot say much lah. So me and my unit had Eid photo shoot. Eid photo shoot, Raya photo shoot lah. Okay, so one of my team members, he is responsible to bring in a rendang. Rendang. Okay, so a day before the photo shoot, right? So he texted in WhatsApp lah. He texted was, okay, Rika, I bought the rendang, okay, but I cannot find any meat rendang. I can only chicken rendang. Okay, fine. And then you know what? So the following day, when we have the when we were supposed when we were having the Raya photo shoot, you know, there's like funky, pungent, uncomfortable smell coming from the rendang. So what does that mean? It means that the rendang has now become turned bad. In Malay we call basi lah. And then everybody was like, why do you even bring the rendang basi? Everybody was so mad at the team members, I don't want to name names lah. So we got so mad and we were like, you know, sarcastic to him, cynical to him, etc., etc. He has no choice. He had to accept it. Now, what is the point? The point here is when you receive messages, it's not only by listening, it's not only by reading. You can also get messages from the smelling, right? So what is the message that you get if you smell some funky, is you can smell some funky from food, so it means that it turned bad already, you cannot eat it, you have to throw it away. But for the sake of photo shoot, of course, we have to just to endure the funky smell. But at the same time, we were like, sarcastic. We were being so 100% sarcastic lah. Okay. Okay, the act of producing messages is called encoding, all right? While the act of receiving messages is called decoding. So these are the theory part, okay? This is the theory part. You don't have to remember it, but you just need to understand, as a person who sends a message, you are also going to receive a message, okay? Now let's move on. Okay, so now we need to talk about the source receiver. Now we move on to talk about the message, the mission itself. All right, signals or combination of signals that serve as stimuli for a receiver. Okay, all right. So basically, if you're talking about the smell is the message. If you're talking about the rolling eyes is the message. Now we're talking about the messages. Okay, so these messages, the stimuli can be in the forms of hearing, seeing, touching, smelling, tasting, combination of the above. Okay, let's talk about touching. You would know the touching meant to be a good touching and a bad touching, right? So if, let's say, your friend smacked you, it means that you did something wrong, or just your friend trying to be, playful with you. But if your parents kiss you, what is the message of that kissing? That they show that they love you, right? Okay. Messages may be intentional or unintentional, right? So this is something that you have to understand. What does it mean by messages may be intentional or unintentional? Okay, let's talk about, intentional is very easy, but unintentional. Okay, messages may be unintentional because sometimes you send a wrong message to people, right? You didn't notice it, but you send message wrong to wrong people. Okay, let me give you an example. Okay, as a person, I am very transparent in my reaction. Okay, so what does that mean? Right. If I see, or if I'm in a in my in, if I am at a place, or if I am in a situation where I'm not happy with things, or I'm not happy with a person, my facial reaction will show. So that is unintentional, but that is very natural of me to portray that kind of facial expressions. And most of the time, my team member will say, Rika, face, Rika, smile. Yeah, I am that. I am that. You unintentionally show your truth reaction. So that is not really, I do not know lah. Okay, some people say that it's not really good, but professionally that is not good. If you don't like a person, in a professional setting, you should just have a neutral reaction instead of instead of you roll your eyes or like making funny faces or whatever. Okay, so yeah. Next, two types of messages. It could be verbal messages or it could be non-verbal messages. So this is something that I have given you the example. Non-verbal messages, not necessarily with words, with your gestures, with your smile. And in fact, if you do not know this, smiles also have different meaning. You have like the truth, you have the genuine smile, you have the straight smile, you have like the forced smile. Okay. So, you should, okay lah, you should learn, how to understand people's facial expression. Okay, I am not saying it's going to be 100% successful, no, but at least okay, oh, this smile is not the usual smile. This tone is not the usual tone, that kind of thing, right? So there is communication. I think this is a video. You can watch the video on your own, right? Like I said, I don't want to make this recording very lengthy. So you watch the video on your own, right? Now let's move on to our next element, which would be the channels. So nowadays we have loaded of channels compared to our grandpa and grandma years. Okay, so channels refer to the medium through which message passes or signals are sent. Okay, example of channels would be face to face or telephone or emails or chat groups, SMS, film, TV, radio. Okay, what does it mean by miss? What does it mean by the channels or messages are TV and radio? Okay, let's take for example like announcement, right? Announcement of Raya. For example, like while I'm recording this, it's Tuesday, 9th of April. So by right today, we are going to take a look at the Anak Bulan, and then it's going to be decided whether or not Wednesday is going to be Raya. Yeah, I do not know. What if why do you Wednesday is not Raya? Then what? Then whatever lah, right? No, Raya is the Raya is we are definitely going to celebrate Raya, but the day lah. Okay, fine, never mind. So, okay, what does it mean by film as a channel of messages? Okay, do you realize that when you watch films, right, whatever genre of the films, there must be some takeaway messages from films, right? So that's why. So same goes like advertisements lah. I always use advertisements. Okay, communication may use several different channels simultaneously, of course. One message could be delivered in different channels. Like right now, we have the social media, we have also the traditional media, you know. Okay, so for example, in face-to-face interaction, you speak and listen, vocal channel, but you also gesture and receive signals visually, right? I do not know whether or not you practice this, but I am pretty sure when I communicate, when I speak, it's not only the vocal channel, I will also use visual channel. I would also have the gestures accompanying my speech and facial expression and etc. Right? In chat groups, you type and read words and use various symbols and abbreviations to communicate the emotional tone. Emoji. Okay. Emoji, stickers, those are also what do you call this again? Communication forms, right? Okay. Noise. Let's talk about noise. Let's talk about noise, people. Now, noise are basically disruptions, interference, right? That occurs when you are communicating. Whether you like it or not, noise or barriers happens. Okay, so what are these things? So anything, this is why I say anything that interfere with you or receiving a message, barriers distort some portion of the message. Okay, now when your communication is being disrupted or distracted or disturbed, so there will be a problem. Why? Because your message will not be sent 100%, or the receiver the receiver of the internet message will not get what you are trying to convey. Okay, so because of that, problems happens, and when problem happens, so the process of communication does not happen successfully. Okay, right? So what are the types of noise? You have the physical noise, you have the physiological noise, you have psychological noise, you have semantic noise. Okay, let's go one by one. Okay, what does it mean by physical noise? Physical noise refers to interference that is external to both speaker and listener. For example, like, okay, if you go to see a doctor and then the doctor writes a prescription or the doctor writes a referral letter for you, right? So you try and read. It's very difficult for you to understand because most of the time, doctor's handwriting is pretty much very Morse code kind of thing. You have to decipher the codes, okay? Um, or let's say, um, this always happens. I know this always happens. When you type messages, there are typos. Kan? Macam for example, like even just one letter, one word could have different meaning. Correct? So yes. Okay, for example, yesterday my best friend was texting. We were texting lah. Me and my best friend were texting, but she was texting in Malay. So she was saying, and she wanted to say emotion, but she typed emoji. So of course, I will use that as a weapon, and I poke fun lah. I make fun of her. Oh yeah, you have to control your emoji and whatnot. And then she's like, yeah, whatever. We always use that lah. You know, whenever we have typos, right? We always poking fun at the other. Okay, so that is physical. Now, what does it mean by physiological noise? Physiological noise basically, related to, if let's say the receiver or like the sender have visual impairments or hearing loss or memory loss. Physiological noise, it's more of the body. Yeah, the body. Psychological, oh my god, psychological is everything and anything related to your brain. Okay, so psychological noises would be attitude and opinions, your emotions. Sometimes, you cannot be rational listening to things because it's very emotional to you. Okay, you cannot be rational. So that is psychological. And if you have this close-mindedness, you are not open to new ideas whatsoever. So whatever whatever things that you listen to, you will block it. You will not accept it. You will block it. It will bounce, bounce, bounce. Okay? Semantic noise. Okay. Created when the speaker and listener have different meaning systems. Okay. So, example of semantic noise: misunderstood meanings, use of jargon, not being specific. Okay. I have a very, very good example of semantic noise. Okay, this happens to me, right? This is the real deal. This is the real case. Okay. Now, so back in my matriculation years, right? That was my first time ever going up from Johor, right? From the state of Johor. So all this while from standard 1 until form 5, even though I had different schools, it was not had different, even though I went to different schools, but every school that I attended was still in Johor Bahru. Sorry, not Johor Bahru, Johor lah, for that matter. For that matter, okay, in Johor. So when you are in Johor, you have certain slangs, certain dialects that only Johorian understand. Okay, so a very Johorian that time. My matriculation my matriculation was located in Petaling Jaya. Okay, and then during that matriculation years was my first time being exposed to people that come from many other states, right? From the states outside of not only from Johor, many other states. Okay, so this is what happened, yeah. So it was during the orientation week, and then usually during orientation week, of course, you will be divided into groups. So I couldn't remember up until today. I couldn't remember what was the topic being discussed. Okay, but the facilitator of my groups that time, the facilitators were two guys, two seniors lah. Okay. And then I couldn't remember what happened, what did we discussing about. So I used the word sangap. Okay, I use the word sangap. Okay, for the international students, if you do not know sangap, okay, sangap for Johorian, it means yawning. You know, when you, it's like pre-sleeping kind of thing, you yawn. That is the, you know, when I use the word sangap, as a Johorian, I mean yawning. So I don't see any issue. I don't see any issue. I don't see any problems. I don't see anything wrong with the word sangap when I use that word. And then, you know, after I mentioned the word sangap, after I uttered the word sangap, two of my facilitators who are not Johorian, they were making funny faces. And then, okay, some of my group members lah, they were like, Rika, what did you just say? Like, sangap lah, sangap. And that time, I couldn't think of another word of sangap. So another word of sangap in Malay is menguap, yawning. Menguap is also sangap. And then like, okay, and then one of other group members, they say, "Oh, Rika, are you referring to menguap? Like menguap? Oh yeah, menguap, sangap. We in Johor we call sangap. So what's wrong with sangap?" Me being clueless and innocent. So like the facilitators were trying to suppress their laugh lah, and they will say, "Oh, the thing is, if you say sangap in the northern part of Malaysia, sangap means horny." Okay, again, I am not teaching you things that are illegal, but I am just giving you example. What does it mean by semantic noise? Right, for a Johorian, when you say sangap, you are referring to yawning. But for people coming from the northern side of Malaysia, when you say sangap, it means something else. So that is an example of semantic noise. I have to make things clear because I don't want people to edit my video and then make things viral and say, "Oh, Miss Rika said something not appropriate in class." Come on lah, people. Okay. You are matured enough, you are adult, you are grown up, so don't do that kind of stunt lah. Okay, so that is basically an example of semantic noise. Okay, now let's move on. To types of noise. Okay, right, the reaction or response of the receiver after perceiving or understanding the message. So that is the type of noise. Communication always have some effect on one or more persons involved in the communication act. For every communication act, there is some consequence. Okay, so what are the effects? Okay, what are the effects? Intellectual or cognitive effects, changes in your thinking. Okay, I give you an example. If you were to listen to a podcast and the podcast is supposed to the podcast is supposed to inspire you. So because of that, you change your mind. Oh, I cannot be this lazy anymore, or I cannot be this close-minded anymore. I need to be open. I need to explore more. Okay, so that is intellectual or cognitive effects. Affective effects. It changes your attitudes. It changes your values. It changes your beliefs. It changes your emotions. For example, okay, this happens to me every single time. Affective, yeah, the emotions part. I love watching horror movie, provided I am with somebody else, my best friends or my partner or my siblings. But most of the time, I watch horror movies with my siblings. And then the effects after watching that, the communication is horror movie, yeah. The communication is horror movie. The effects that I experience will be I become so frightened. I become so takut. Okay. And before I sleep, I will somehow the some scene of the movie will pop up in my mind, and then I become scared. That's always happen. That's always happens. But that does not deter me from watching horror movies. Yeah. Right? Okay, cool. Psychomotor effects, changes in behavior. When you watch people dance or move, you feel like moving also. So that is the effects. Right? There is the effects. Ah, okay. Now, purposes of human communication. I don't think this is very difficult for you. But you know, if you must know, right, why do we need to communicate? Why do we need to communicate? Number one, because we want to discover things, we want to relate with one another, we want to help out, we want to persuade people, we want to play, right? Okay, so these are basically, the how complicated the purpose of human communicating. Okay, take your time, read on your own, right? No rush whatsoever. Okay, body language. If I'm not mistaken, this is also another video. You can watch it on your own, right? You don't have, we don't have to watch it together. Take time for you to watch. It's not going to be long. It's just 3 minutes, not more than 3 minutes. Okay, now, why do we need to communicate, and why do we need to communicate? Why do we get in return? Means, okay, we communicate because we want to discover. We communicate because we want to help. But what is the benefits of that? Why? So number one, presentation skills. Is your ability to present yourself in a positive light, even though you just being dumped by your girlfriend or your boyfriend. But this communication will help you. Sorry, salah. Okay, not the example. Scrap the example. Okay. So communicating will help you with your presentation skills, will help you with your relationship skills inside a friendship, love relations, or work relation, or family members, right? Communication also will benefits and will help you out in terms of your leadership skills. Now, when you are a leader, you have to communicate. You have to communicate with your team members. So the way you communicate with team members will determine whether or not your team will achieve the success that you are aiming for or not. So I hope by now, okay, if you do not know, leader and boss are different things. All right, leader will make sure everybody work together, but boss will only think about him or herself. Okay. So another benefits that you get uh, from communicating is you exercise your critical and creative thinking skills. When you communicate, when communication is not only about you speak, you also need to listen. So that is communication. So the more you listen to people, the more you get perspectives. The more perspective that you get, the critical and the creative you be. So that's why, okay, if I have not mentioned this to you, I am going to mention this for the first time. Please find times, other than watching movies, other than watching series on Netflix. I think, or yeah, watching documentaries, all of those are good. I think spending some time watching and listening to podcasts are also good. My favorite podcast for now would be Keluar Sekejap, right? Keluar Sekejap. Apa cerita, right? Apa cerita, Keluar Sekejap. Like the horror podcast, I don't think you need to know. Borak dalam Galley. Borak dalam Galley. I try to watch Kindred Stories. The one that like the brothers or the sisters to Puas Kejap. But I have yet to find it appealing to me. So for now, I am so into Keluar Sekejap, Apa Cerita, Borak dalam Galley. For the horror, for the horror genre, Malam Seram, Ashraf Channel, and then Lepak One Corner. Okay. So because okay, so this is something, why do I promoting you, or why I recommending you to listen to podcast? Because you learn you learn a lot of things. You learn a lot of things. For example, okay, for example, apa cerita? The one that I'm watching right now, apa cerita podcast, is the CEO series. So I only up to this point I watched 2 episodes. The first episode was Tan Sri Zainal Abidin. Apparently I didn't know this. Apparently Tan Sri Zainal Abidin is the bapa of the bapa Myvi. He was the one who created Myvi. He was the one who made Myvi launch in Malaysia. Tan Sri Zainal Abidin. And then the second episode that I've watched so far from Apa Cerita is Tan Sri Wahid Omar. Funny thing about that name, before the current VC, right? The previous VC name is Wahid Omar, but this is different Wahid Omar. So this Wahid Omar, Tan Sri Wahid Omar, right? He's in the economy finance sector. Tan Sri Zainal Abidin is in the automotive. Automotive. So, watching and listening to their story, sharing story experience, you learn a lot. These people are actually from very humble beginnings. Very, very humble beginnings, and they are very patriotic. I am not patriotic, I know, but they are very patriotic in a sense that, okay, this is like a nation building. This is purposely for nation building. I was like, wow. So yeah, I learned a lot lah so far from Tan Sri Wahid Umar and Tan Sri Zainal Abidin. So um my point of talking about this podcast, because I want you to broaden your mind, broaden your horizons. Nowadays, acquiring knowledge is not only from textbook, it's not only from attending lectures. Listening to the right podcast could also give you, knowledge. For example, Borak Dalam Galley is all about it's about aviation lah. I know I am far from being cabin crew. That is not my intention. But when you watch and listen to the podcast of this Borak Dalam Galley, right? You understand that as a cabin crew, your job or your task or your duty is not only to serve people food or drinks. You need to memorize all the safety measures. You need to memorize also the body parts of the aircraft that you are on board. And then you also need, as a cabin crew, you are the safety officer. You are also the waitress or waiter. You also need to be a paramedic. Imagine, right? One snippet that I watched. A a woman gave birth on board. They need to know tau. They need to know. This cabin crew need to know. So those are the things that I learned from Borak Dalam Galley. And I'm all those funny stories and whatnot. I think it's very interesting lah. So something that I do not know, but now I know. So yeah, that's why I say information and knowledge nowadays, at our age, at your age, at this 21st century, comes in many ways. It doesn't have to be only textbook. Okay? Right, interaction skills. Human communication also, benefits you in terms of your interaction skills. So these interaction skills, and in fact, every benefits that communication is supposed to give you is what is sorry no are the skills that you are going to apply and you are going to use when you are in your group discussion later. All right, comes week 7 and week 9. Okay, now there is another video. Okay, forms of human communication. So you have the intrapersonal. You are talking to yourself. You are trying to like convince, I can do this. That is intrapersonal communication. Interpersonal communications. usually face to face or private settings, interpersonal. So it's you and another person. Interviewing, there is also communication. Interviewing, it could be interviewing is in the form of question and answer sessions. An interview, it could be like one to one, one to many, many to many, many to one. Okay. So what do I mean by one to one? One to one, if you are the interviewee and your interviewee is another one person, so that is one to one. One to many, you could have one interviewer, but you have two or three interviewees, and etc lah. Okay. Small group communication among members of groups. So I am pretty sure you have your own gang, correct? Your gang. So that is, between a gang. Okay, as simple as this, a gang. Where are we going? What are we going to do this weekend? Boring. So that is communication, small group communication. Organizational, meaning at your workplace. Public. If you if you are a speaker, you are invited to give a talk. That is public. Computer mediated. If you are using all the electronics devices. Mass, one source to many receivers. So usually media outlets, for example, like all these content creators, right? Some of them, when they are creating contents, they are actually aiming for the masses. Oh, I forgot to tell you. Okay, another podcast that I also watch, podcast thinker, or the financial Faiz. Or financial Faiz. I think that is also brilliant. Oh yeah, and Dr. Adam Zubey. Oh my God. I think if everybody were to take serious, serious action, what Dr. Adam Zubey is suggesting, everybody will not be in B40. He's legit, man. I like how he conveys message. Of course, like, he has his product and he wants to sell his product, because at the end of the day, he needs to eat also, kan? He needs to eat, he needs to pay for fuel and whatnot. So, but then again, the content that he shares, talking about investment, talking about passive money, that is something that, yeah, you can do better. You can be better, actually. Okay. Now, so this is what I mentioned earlier on. For this course, we are going to focus on the small group. Okay. Verbal techniques and group interactions. Okay. What are the do's and what are the don'ts, right? So define your terms. Now, when you are communicating from one to many people, you have to understand. Not everybody can understand what you're trying to say. So that's why you have to make sure your terms are defined clearly. And then you have to choose your words precisely. Okay? So if you mean A, then you have to make sure whatever words that you're using will refer to A. Okay? Take control of your tone. Sometimes I cannot take control of my tone, right? Is it going to be diplomatically correct? Is it going to be harsh? Is it going to be inconsiderate? That kind of tone. And I check for understanding. So whenever you have communicated your messages, you have to ask for clarification whether or not your friends or whoever that you are communicating with understand what you're trying to say. Okay, so that is the do's. Now let's move on to the don'ts. Cliche. Don't do cliches. Listener assumes it's common meaning while ignoring your specific use of them. Now, you have to understand, some parts of your communication or some part of your speech could be something cliche. And this will disrupt your communication, because if you're using some cliches, but the receiver, or like the person that you're communicating with understanding your cliche in a different manner, then there will be a problem. Jargon. You need to know when to use jargons, special registers or special words, when to use and when not to use. If you are with your friends and you are coming from the same expertise, then of course you can use the jargon because everybody would understand. But if you are communicating with a person, okay, let's say all of you are engineering, all of my 21, 22 students are engineers. Okay, so engineers would have certain jargons that laymen like me, I am non-engineering, cannot understand. So you now need to learn when can you use the jargon and when can you not use the jargon. So if you are talking to your girlfriend that is not engineering, that does not come from engineering course, you cannot use all these thermodynamics lah, static lah. You cannot use that terms. If you want to use that term, then you have to define what does it mean by thermodynamics, what does it mean by static. Because I remember vibrations. I remember the first time ever I was teaching. It was like my first year, my first year in UTM. I was teaching mechanical students, and then my mechanical students are okay. So if I'm not mistaken, that time was like week 7. So what happened in week 7? Usually, all these engineering students, right, will have their quizzes or tests in week 7. So when it's quiz weeks or test week, all these engineering students will skip or will ponteng English class. So I come to class, la 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 la, and then turn out to be 50% or 40% of only 40% of the class turn out for my class. And then of course I got curious lah, and then I wonder, okay, hey, what happened? Why only 40% of you come? Oh miss, we have quiz lah tonight. Of course lah, of course I need to know what quiz kan. Okay, so I asked her, okay, what quiz? Vibrations. And I was like, okay, wait. You have a subject or you have a course that called vibrations? Yes, miss. I was like speechless. The course name is vibrations? Yes, miss. It is vibrations. I was like, okay. So another situation, yeah, another instances. It's still things that happen to me. Miss, we have static tests today, and this afternoon or this evening. Static. Static. You have static tests. As a non-engineering, what do you need to know about static? It's static, not moving. What else? You know, like static kan, static. What else do you need to know about static? It's not moving. It's immobile. It's like static. So and then the student, miss, we need to calculate this, we need to know this, that for the state. See? So what I'm trying to say here is when you are communicating, you need to know who are your audience. So if your audience is not in the same expertise or does not have the same background like you, and you use jargon, special registers, so you cannot blame them if they don't understand what you're saying. Right? So the same goes like slang. Okay, slang. Okay. Alamak, I couldn't remember. Okay, but wait. Okay. Slang, this is not slang lah, but this is dialect. But I think it's more or less lah. Okay. So if you're from Kedah, you would understand what is balok liat. Balok liat means you are very, very, very lazy. Balok liat lah hampa ni. Pasal apa? Tak tahu. Right? But if you use that word to a Johorian or to at least people from Pahang, they would just click, you know. They would just blink their eyes. Balok what? Balok liat. Huh? Kayu balak. Okay? Right? So same, I couldn't remember what does plastic bag call in Kelantan. I really love that word. Supik gelenyong. Now I remember. Supik gelenyong. Kan? You see, I want, okay, Bear. Supik gelenyong is all. Kan? If you said that to a Johorian, supik kelenya what? Because in Johor saya plastic bag. Nak plastik? Nak plastik. Kan? So those are the things. Okay? Right? So today you learn for those people who do not know, today you learn two new dialect or words in dialect. Supik gelenya, that is plastic bag, and balok liat, that is kedah for lazy. It's not just lazy, it's just like super lazy. That is balok liat. Okay. Sexist and racist language. Oh my god. Okay. Referring to adult women as girls, and you know, when you're stereotyping, you know, that's not that will cause you a problem now when you're communicating. Okay, right? Non-verbal techniques in group interactions. So what is the ideal body language in a group in communication? The way you carry yourself speaks volume about your confidence. Okay, so basically, how do you stand? How do you sit? How do you put? Where do you put your hands? You know, how? What is the facial expression that you project? Those give your audience idea. How confident are you? Okay, so in order for you to show that you are confident, you have to maintain a relaxed upright posture. You are not slouching. This is slouching. This is slouching. Okay, this is slouching. Okay, sorry. So if you're sitting, so this is sitting upright posture. Upright. Okay, upright. Slouching is this. So if you're slouching, then it shows you're not confident, right? And then another, if you are hugging yourself, if you're hugging yourself like this, it shows that you are not open for discussion. Okay, right? Openness keeps you all open and relaxed, you know, like, oh, okay, you know. So that's why I say, if you're just doing something like this all the time, right? So it means that you are not open. You are not open to criticism. You're not open to opinions, ideas. You're not. Engagement. Lean in slightly when someone else is speaking to show interest. So, you know, like, okay, for example, like you're sitting like this, right? And then you are discussing in a group. So you will say, you will lean in. So this is what it means by lean in. You see? Lean in. Because it shows that interest. Okay, show interest. It really does make a difference tau. Really make a difference sebenarnya. Okay? Okay. Next. So this is closed postures. This is open postures. Postures. Okay, non-verbal techniques in group interaction. So non-verbal cues are powerful way to assert your presence and reinforce your verbal communication. Tone of voice. You shouldn't be shouting actually. You don't have to shout, you don't have to yell. But the firmness of your tone will tell your audience that, oh, he's confident. He's not making fun. He's not, you know, he's not playing. He's not playing. Okay. Eye contact, you know, okay, my God. I really, really want you to train yourself. Everybody who is watching this video, I really want you to start train yourself to have to have a maintain eye contact. You know, it's really disappointing and frustrating when you are communicating and you don't give the eye contact. You know, this happens to me every single time, and I also do this and also experience this. You know, I know nowadays, right, we have so accustomed where, you can just tell the story, but I am actually doing something else. So this is what happened to me and my best friend. Whenever we hang out, right, she will always, oh, keep it, you just tell a story, but I need to send this message. It's work. It's really frustrating to me, tau. I don't like that. I don't like to be in that situation, and I don't practice that. Seriously. So It's not respect. It's not. It shows that you are not respecting the other friend. So okay, from today onwards, please, right, everybody, whenever you are talking, whenever you are chatting with your friends, make sure you focus on that person, right? Give eye contact, give your attention. Whatever texting can hold. So same goes like when you are driving, right? And then thousands of messages came through. Ignore it first. You make sure you reach your destination when you are driving. This is when driving. Okay. Usually, my best friend will be apologetic like, babe, I'm sorry, but this is work. I need to send a message now. But I am listening to you. Yeah lah. But that is not really a good practice. Okay, everybody, right? Cross your heart. You will give attention to anybody that is trying to communicate with you. The eye contact. To your gestures. Okay, right? So don't do this. Oh, yeah. Don't, please don't. Okay, that is very disrespectful. Okay. Now most of the time some people when they talk they really use gestures, right? Like everywhere their hand is everywhere. Oh, and then okay, talking about gestures, right? Whenever I narrate stories to my gang, working gang or my gang lah, for that matter, my best friend for that matter, right? I always have extra body gestures, like yeah, I always extra gedik lah, because when you have body gestures, right, it gives double impact of your message. So that's why lah, dramatic kan. Okay, whatever. No. Okay, here are some common nonverbal pitfalls to avoid during a group discussion: crossing your arms, fidgeting. It could be, when you keep on tapping the pen, you know tapping a pen. Okay, so this is a pen, and this is a surface. That is fidgeting, right? That is fidgeting, and it's very annoying. Don't do that. And then, if you are a person who always like bite your teeth, you know, or like another thing about fidgeting. Oh my god, your leg keep on shaking. Oh, Chinese culture. This is something that I learned when I attended one of the interviews back then. So I was fidgeting because interview kan, nervous. Now of course nervous. So I was fidgeting. I was like one of my legs. I couldn't remember. Probably on my right leg. My right leg keeps on fidgeting. And then the interviewer said kan, um, you know what? In Chinese culture, if you keep on shaking your leg, your money will fly off from you. Ah, so I was like, alamak, I don't want my money to run away from me. So I tried to stop lah. So from that day onwards, I try not to fidget my legs. Not okay, miss, that is shiri as a Muslim, yada yada yada. Come on, people. Don't start. Okay, let's not go there. It's just that basically, okay lah, fine. In Chinese culture, they believe that when you fidgeting, when your legs are fidgeting, then you are actually shooing your money away. But okay, professionally, when you are fidgeting, it shows that you are not confident. It shows that you are not comfortable. That's not good. Right? Next, pitfalls to avoid. Inappropriate facial expressions, the rolling eyes, the smirking, like uh, uh yeah. Okay lah. Again, as much as possible, not try not to have. So yeah, intruding personal space. Like when you sit so close to one another, or like standing, or some people are not comfortable, right? Some people are not comfortable, so you need to understand what is personal space. Yeah. Okay. So this is a mix between a verbal and non-verbal communication, right? During a group interaction, there can be just one kind of communication going on. There will be an amalgam of verbal as well as non-verbal communication. Okay, now to make things easy, when you are communicating in a group, right, you cannot expect only just one way kind of communication, right? It could be in a communication, there is also another person communicating with another person. So basically, that is something that you need to understand lah. Okay, verbally, your ability to generate ideas, deliver them effectively, navigate through different stages, and handle various situations can make you stand out in a small discussion. So, you know, basically, um, in order for you to be outstanding in a group discussion, you have to know how to generate ideas. You need to know how to deliver the ideas. Now it's like hot pula. Fine. And then navigate. Okay, now when you are in a group discussion, okay, so this is something I really, really want you to remember. In a group discussion, it's not only about you conveying your message. You also need to listen to other people. You also need to listen to other people's point of view. And then you need to use those people point of view and relate it to you, or you have to build on. Okay. So when you know how to generate your ideas, you know how to deliver the idea, you know how to use other people's idea and connect it with your ideas. So that is the moment you have achieved a batch of successful communicator. So this is the problem, okay? This is the problem after 8 years or almost 8 years. Um, or in fact, I started teaching in 2012. So it's 12 years already. Oh my God. 12 years already. So whenever there is a group discussion assessment, I would say only 20% of students can excel. Why? Because the rest, the 80% of the student, they do not know how to discuss. They only know how to voice out their opinion, but they do not know how to use other people's opinion and relate it to their opinion. And in that 80%, most of the time they don't even realize what they have said is actually what are they, oh, sorry, in that 80%, they don't realize and they don't even notice that whatever that they are saying or whatever they are presenting at that particular of time is has actually presented by other group members. Remember the paraphrasing and summarizing skills? It is not a synthesizing skill. Those skills are not only applicable in writing, it's also applicable in speaking, right? Okay. So yeah, and then like I would say the most frustrating group discussion that I experienced so far was last semester, because I would say 90% of the groups, yes, I also had um, three groups of 21, 22. So 90% of the three groups, when they attend their group discussion assessment, they were just reading. They were reading from their tablet, they were reading from their phone, they were reading from the notes that they wrote. I got so frustrated, man. I got so frustrated. They were not discussing, they were just reading whatever Chat GPT told us to read. I told them to read. It was really frustrating for me. Oh my God, seriously, I don't like it. Right, so we end to that. Okay, small group communication. Let's talk about small group communication. Or, okay, you know what? Let's have a pause for a while, okay? So let's continue in a different video. Okay, let me stop the recording.